Welcome to What's Cooking, New Ulm. I'm Rebecca Fliszar, the dietitian with the Heart of New Ulm Project, working to reduce and eventually eliminate heart attacks in the 56073 zip code. We've had a great amount of recipes come through this past April, and to top it off, we have Tammy Kieper. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm very pleased to be here, and I hope my recipe is enjoyable to all.
Good. Well, why don't we start talking a little bit about that recipe. Tell us some of the ingredients you'll be having and give us the name of this recipe.
Okay, we are going to make fruited chicken pitas today, and it involves our spinach, our celery, cranberries, of course our nuts. We're having almonds, and we're going to have chicken.
Great. So Tammy just identified several good sources of protein. This is going to be a complete meal. We do have our bread product, we have our protein, and we even have a little fruit with this one. So sounds like a great recipe. So let's jump right in.
Okay, first of all, I like to make my dressing so it has a few minutes to sit. And on our dressing, I get a low-fat yogurt, and I take a half a cup of that, and I put it in the bowl here.
Great. I did want to mention, anytime you're using yogurt, a big buzzword now is Greek yogurt. This yogurt is a little bit thicker, and the whey is actually strained out of the yogurt. So you might want to check on Greek yogurt if you have any problem with a gluten-free diet. If it says gluten-free, it might fit in your diet as well. And that can adjust to make this recipe appealing to even more of our viewers.
And then I also add to the yogurt a half a cup of light salad dressing. And I've been finding that on a lot of my salad recipes, I've been using this combination a lot, half and half. It seems like the family don't notice, and I believe the yogurt is better for you than the salad dressing.
Great.
And I have noticed if I use the fat-free, it gets a lot runnier, so I've been just using the reduced fat salad dressing.
When you look up this recipe on the Heart of New Ulm website, or it will be shown after this episode, you will see that even using the low-fat salad dressing does still fit into our heart-healthy criteria. So you don't always have to go to the fat-free. You can still stay within our parameters.
And then I also need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. If I have lemon on hand, I will squeeze my own. If I'm in a hurry, I just grab my bottle of lemon juice out of the refrigerator and use that.
This is going to give it a little bit of a zing and going to add a little bit more flavor.
That's true. So you can go a little bit more if you wish. We'll stick right at the 2 tablespoons like I have in my recipe.
Okay.
And then I need a half a teaspoon of ground pepper for a little flavor.
And Tammy has chosen to use the ground pepper without the added salt. And that's just going to make this a little bit heart healthier. So again, if you have any issues with blood pressure, it's always a great idea to try to just eliminate that salt from your recipes. Most of the time, we won't even miss it's gone.
And then I just stir that up well. And then I'll just set that aside. And the flavors can draw in there. And then next, I cut up my chicken. We'll need 4 cups of chicken. Now, I have pre-cooked this chicken. Usually on the weekend, I like to do a large roaster full of chicken breasts, cool them down. I freeze them. I can take them out as I need them during the week. They're great for hot dishes. They're great for salads. And I think the baked chicken is a little more moisture and tender than when I hurry it up in the skillet.
That's a great idea, Tammy. And that's really a great goal. You know, if you can have these heart-healthy meals prepared ahead of time, we're more likely to stick with these ideas throughout the week. So if you can follow Tammy's suggestion, make the chicken breast ahead of time, you're more likely to incorporate them into your meals. So that's great.
And especially if you get it on sale, you can cook up a big batch. It's ready to go.
Perfect.
It just seems like a nice...
Well, while you're cooking that chicken, or cutting that chicken, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your involvement in the Heart of New Ulm Project? What have been some of the events you've attended, and what have you enjoyed the most?
Well, I've enjoyed pretty much everything. It started out, I think, a year ago when you had Go for Red Women at the Holiday Inn. I informed my mother we was going, and we really enjoyed it. It was quite informative, and it opened our eyes to, well, that heart disease is the #1 killer. And we do have heart disease in our family. And so I says, we're going to follow the program. So we did the Herman 5K.
Good.
And we did the Jingle Bell Jam, which we was lucky enough they let us help out a little bit in the beginning before the race, and we really enjoyed that.
Good.
And we also were going to attend the Gopher Red Women this spring, or midwinter, February. But of course, with icy roads and stuff, we didn't make it, which was quite a disappointment.
Well, good. Sounds like you've been heavily involved, and we appreciate it. And we've seen great impacts in those that have attended. So look for those same events coming up this year. We will again hold our Jingle Bell Jam, which is our 4-mile run in December. It's a great opportunity for people to understand that it's still okay to exercise even when it's cold.
And I hope you're having your spring
We
run.
are. We have plenty planned, and we'll be checking in with Betsy for those updates soon.
Well, I most certainly hope so, because I can guarantee from our point of view, it's got us moving. We're exercising more. I try to walk 3 to 4 miles a day, which, believe me, I never would have before.
Great. Good to hear.
So,
Well, it looks like our chicken's ready to go.
yes, it is. We have 4 cups now in the bowl. You can cut it smaller, bigger, however you want. It really doesn't make much difference. And then to that, we're going to add a 1/3 cup of chopped walnuts, or excuse me, pecans.
Okay.
So this particular bag said it was pre-chopped already.
Okay.
I think it's not. I think it could be a little smaller. If you get a little extra in here, you won't notice. And I use my handy chopper because our knives at home, they're all dull. And this is quicker. And I like to use it for the spinach mostly because it does chop it up fine. And I can hide it because my family's not a big spinach eater, but they're getting to be.
Good, good. Well, while we finish up this recipe and move on to our next step, let's go ahead and check in with Holly for her Fit in 5.
Welcome to today's Fit in 5. Today we're going to do a nice 5-minute workout that you can do again while you're watching TV or in the privacy of your own home. Today we're going to use some hand weights, but you can also grab those canned goods right out of your pantry if you would like as well, or you can go weight-free and just use your own body. We're going to start today with a nice plie squat. So we're going to take the legs a little bit further than shoulder distance apart, and we're actually going to point the toes out just a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and just start with a simple squat, coming down and up, and dropping our tailbone right toward the floor. We're just going to hold the weights to our side, or if we don't have any weights, we can just keep the arms to the side as well. From here, we're going to add a simple bicep curl. So we're going to turn the palms forward, and we're going to curl up as we squat. So we're going to curl up and then come down. If we want a little more sensation with this, then we go ahead and take the arms away from the body. This provides just a little bit more resistance. And we're going to do about 10 of these. And then we can place the hands back down and take just a little rest. You're going to feel your heart rate increase with this workout as well, which is great. It means we're going to get a cardiovascular workout as well as a resistance workout. From here, we're going to work the shoulders. We're just going to bring the arms up and down. And again, we're going to do this about 10 times. And then place the hands back down. And we'll do just a basic squat, just a few more. One more, and then we're going to bring the feet together. So from here, the feet come together. We're going to bring that right foot forward, left foot back, and we're going to actually let one of the weights go if we have to. Place that down. We're going to lean forward onto this front leg a little bit. Arms are up. And we're now going to work the triceps. So we're going to dip down and extend the arm up. And again, we're going to do this about 10 times. And then we want to go ahead and switch legs, doing the same tricep extension again. Or we're going to be a little bit lopsided if we do one leg but not the other. So same thing, we extend up. We want to make sure that the elbows are right by the ear here. And then we bring the weight down. The last thing we're going to do today is for balance. We're going to place all the weight onto our right leg. We're going to hold the hand weight out in front of us, or again, our can good, and we're going to lean forward extending the weight out and lifting the back leg up and then back down, and then we just switch. And again, we'll do that about 10 times. Again, working on that balance. And that's it. We're all done. We got a nice toning and a nice cardiovascular workout done in about 5 minutes. For today's Fit in 5, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks for those tips. Okay, let's get right back into our recipe and see where we're at.
Okay, we got our dressing made, we got our chicken, we got our pecans. We're going to add our cranberries. 1/3 cup of cranberries we just dump right in this bowl with the chicken.
Remember, those cranberries are going to be a high source of vitamin C as well as fiber, so they're a great addition to a recipe. They're also going to add that sweetness that we're looking for. Just be careful to follow the recommended portion size on any of our dried fruit. They are a little bit higher in calories because of their concentration.
And next we're going to use 2 ribs of celery. Now you can chop the celery. On this particular recipe I wrote slice it. I try to slice it with a knife. It doesn't get as thin. So I use my handy little slicer here that I use for everything, especially canning pickles. And you can fairly get this sliced up fairly fast. Or you can use, like I said, a knife. Maybe goes quicker.
You just have to be kind of careful with that one when those fingers get a little low.
That's right. It's happened before, but I've learned my lesson well. So I will do this one like this, and then I can cut it up and show you how to do it with the knife, which might go a little quicker. But it does look quite pretty in the bowl when you get that sliced. Or if you don't have a slicer, you don't want to wait for that, I just cut it up in little strips here. We use a lot of celery at home.
Yeah, that's
celery
a great
and onions
choice.
seems to be in almost everything we make. Luckily for me, our family loves onions.
Good.
And well, with the gardening season now, we grow lots of onions. Onions and tomatoes are our big thing.
So many of these vegetables you can just grow right in your own backyard. Trying to incorporate those not only improves our health, but it's also helpful for our budget.
I was
Great.
reading your tips the other day in the newspaper on grocery shopping, and it was amazing. A lot of them we do, and if you do watch the ads and your coupons and the sale items, you really can save a lot of money and still buy a lot of healthy things to
That's
eat.
right. And the use of gardens right now just can't be beat.
That's right. Next, we need a chopped apple. Now, in this particular recipe, when I wrote it, I put peeled, and I got thinking, well, that's because some of our family members don't like to chew the skin of the apple, but the skin is where all our nutrients are, so.
Right. So you're going to contain the most fiber in that skin. So if your family enjoys it, it is something you want to keep in the recipe if possible.
So we'll core this fairly quickly here. And you can use any apple, any flavor or kind of apple you want. I picked the Delicious because of the red color. And the red color does look kind of nice in the bowl, but you can use whatever you have on hand. And again, I will use my chopper. Maybe not because the apple's a little too big, but we can remedy that. And this kind of chops it up fairly fast.
All right.
Otherwise, you can also just cut it up in little pieces, which I do too.
So now how much of that apple are we going to use?
I'm going to use, it calls for a medium apple, so I'm probably going to use 3/4, but you could put the whole apple in
Sure.
there because it really does hide the full, you won't notice it. When I do make this recipe, a lot of people will not be able to pick out what is actually all in there.
Sure.
So you can coarsely chop this, you can finely chop it. I like to leave things a little chunkier so you can at least taste them.
Sure.
But you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that looks great.
Whoops, now that's falling apart. Okay, a little bit more yet. Well, maybe not. That's the problem with some of these handy gadgets. They don't always stay together real good, but
And you can probably go with it like that. We'll just keep them.
But there we go. So we got that chopped up. We'll put that in our bowl. Okay, and then next we need our spinach, and we do need a half a cup of chopped spinach. Now this is where I really like this chopper because I can take a handful, I can shove it under there and it gets it fine. I do not have a lot of success with a knife.
Sure.
I don't know, you
difficult.
probably
That is a difficult cut.
probably can, but I can do quite well with
Yeah.
this. As you can see, it's getting fine. I can hide it in a lot of things this way. It works well.
So you can see that we're getting all of our different food groups throughout this recipe. It's really been an encompassing, easy to do recipe. It doesn't really require any baking or any stove time, so it's something that you can bring along if you're camping or on vacation. You can still put it together.
Yes, you can. It's very easy. So we got our half a cup of spinach in there. Now we will stir this together. And you can see the colors are very nicely in there.
Great.
And now we will add our dressing to this. We'll give that a little stir. We'll add our dressing.
Perfect.
Most of this out. And then we just mix it up.
Yeah, it looks tasty. You
And
really
it
see
smells
the
quite
green.
good too.
Yeah. All the different greens are a good sign. Well, while we finish this up and get ready to stuff our pitas, let's check in with Betsy Pizer and find out what's new for the Heart of New Ulm.
Hi, my name is Betsy Pizer. I'm a project manager with the Heart of New Ulm, and I'm fortunate to be joined today by Jeff Golden, a New Ulm native, co-owner of the B&L Bar, and somebody who's made some great life changes in the last year since your screening. Jeff, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done in the last year to change your lifestyle.
Well, thanks for having me here, Betsy. I guess since I joined the Heart of New Ulm, what I've done, I've joined a fitness center, in which I try to go at least 4 times a week, anywhere from a half an hour to an hour at a time. And knowing that if you can go there every other day for sure, or a lot of times a person feels guilty if you have a big meal or whatever, go there in the afternoon. And now that it's getting nicer out, what I've been doing, of course, my dogs always love to go for a walk. So instead of going 6-7 blocks, try to make it an extra 3-4 blocks. That's what I've been trying to do.
That's great.
It's really helped me. And one thing that I noticed also when you're working out down by the fitness center, I try to go at the same time every day. You're more relaxed with the people who are down there. You're not as, you're not you have to gain that self-confidence where you feel good about yourself when you're doing it. And I noticed one thing is that when you do work out, try to adjust your body to the clothes that if you wear baggy clothes, it doesn't fit on you right. I noticed that if you wear clothes that really adapt to you well, I think you feel better when you work out and when you get done.
That's great.
So that's what I've been trying to do, and there's always little things that you try to do instead of maybe taking your car someplace, maybe try to walk someplace. My wife is a great inspiration to me. She's constantly running. She goes running 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half every day. And since the time we joined the Heart of Health, her cooking has been great. She makes vegetables at the beginning of the week. She gets a bunch of vegetables, and what we do, we put olive oil, and then she bakes them. And then for a little snack, what we do is, or for a main meal, and maybe instead of having a potato or something, have vegetables.
That's terrific.
Which seems to be working out real well. A few other changes that I've been making, something really simple is, instead of having regular pop, go to diet pop. Probably no pop at all would be better, but a person needs a carbonation, go to that. When you go into a restaurant, it's always hard to order. What are you going to order? Instead of having something deep fried, have a tossed salad, soup instead of the fries with a sandwich. It's always hard. It's hard all the time to constantly watch what you're doing, but in the back of your mind, eventually you just kind of, in the back you kind of know that raw vegetables at home, carrots, celery, and hopefully now that it's garden time, we're going to be buying more regular raw vegetables to eat and everything else. So the little steps are making a big difference, but I can see that you constantly have to work at it, but I think just the little steps at a time will gradually get you in that. There's nothing that said I do sneak pizza, I do sneak French fries. Everybody does it, because if you think you're going to go off it automatically,
Everything in moderation, yeah.
So the smaller things, but instead of having maybe 2 burgers, have 1 burger. Instead of having a handful of fries, maybe have a few fries now and then. So those small tips and everything else seem to be working good. So yeah, and the constant, you just have to constantly educate yourself about different things.
That's great. It sounds like you've really made some lifestyle changes that have become habits, which is exactly what we're all working towards. Like you said, it gets easier with time, and you're sort of training your body and training yourself to go to the gym on a regular schedule and eat things that are good for you and make you feel good and look good. So congratulations on your success. We look forward to keeping in touch with you over the next year and see what the summer brings.
Yep. And like I said, I've lost some weight. I didn't lose as much weight as what I had planned to lose, but hopefully that will come. I'm on medications. Hopefully we can reduce the medications. So like I said, it's small steps at a time. It ain't going to happen overnight, and I think everybody will be happy with themselves just doing the smaller things and just trying to work at it.
That's terrific, Jeff. Thanks so much. The small things certainly do add up. We sure appreciate you being here, and thanks for your participation with Heart of New Ulm.
Thanks, Betsy. All right, Tammy, let's go ahead and finish this up.
Okay, we are just about done. We need a few onion rings. So we'll slice this as thin as we can. We'll only do a couple because we're not going to fill all of our pitas.
Great.
Okay.
Now, do you prefer the darker onions?
I prefer for this because they are, I think, a little sweeter.
Okay.
And well, this time of the year, I began to think all the onions are strong that we have purchased lately. And you kind of separate. I took the inside out because I just wanted the rings.
Okay.
Because this is kind of appearance. If I was making a hot dish or what, I'd chop it all.
Sure.
And I cut them. They said a whole ring. I cut them in half because they're a little easier when you're filling your pita to lay in there. So now we are ready to fill. We take one of our pitas. We take some of this romaine lettuce. And you're probably better at making this look better than I am. But
It does add a lot of color, and it's going to make for a really nice dish when you're out on the lake, or if you're sitting next to a barbecue, or wherever you're going to serve these. So it looks great.
so we put a little lettuce in there. We take our filling. Now the recipe says about a half a cup per pita. I just take a spoonful, slide it in there.
Yeah, that looks
Some
great.
eaters eat more than others, but there.
Perfect.
And then I just set it on the plate. I'll take a couple of these onion rings, set them in there so you got a little color. That way, if you got guests that don't like onions, they can pick them right out. And then I like to garnish it with some fruit, fresh fruit, whatever you have on hand. Today we are going to have green grapes, and we are going to have a yellow apple.
Great.
And there you go.
Talk about a great summer meal right there. As spring winds up, we're getting ready for these great summer dishes, and this one seems to fit the mold. So we appreciate you coming in and sharing this great recipe with us and your involvement in the Heart of New Ulm project. So with that concludes this episode of What's Cooking, New Ulm.